are now watching the College Baseball Insiders Show.
It's behind him. This is hammered. Left field, and we are tied. Wow.
Now, here are your hosts, giving you an inside look into the top matchups.
What is up? Week 10 is on deck. Q, Smitty, y'all ready for this?
Let's get it rolling.
Wow, we got a lot of energy today for somebody who's been at the doctor again all day. I'm the only one talking here.
I feel good.
Smitty.
Let's go.
Let's get it rolling.
Let's
Good.
go.
Let's go. All right, we've got four. I'm going to completely discredit this Oklahoma BYU series going off tonight, but we've got three that feature a top 25 team, starting with a very, very good one. Texas A&M travels to Tuscaloosa to take on the Crimson Tide, coming off their series win over Arkansas, dropping them all the way down to number 2. Alabama gets a bump to 18th in the country. Texas A&M far and away looks like the best team in the country, in my opinion. They've got the hitting. They've got the pitching. Will they hold up? That is the true question. Alabama, they look good at home. Their pitchers have good stuff, especially Zane Adams going in what'll be the Saturday Game 3 matchup. But overall, what are your initial thoughts on this series, Q?
I think I'm going to stay away from it. I just have this weird gut feeling. You know, obviously A&M's better on paper. They're better on the field. But they haven't, other than the Florida series, they've looked essentially near perfect. And I don't know if Prager's had a bad start this year, and all elite pitchers at least have one bump in the road. And that concerns me being on the road here. If they were in College Station, I wouldn't be worried. But traveling to Tuscaloosa, they're kind of in a free fall right now, the Tide. So they're looking to turn things around and get back on track. Obviously, Ferrone and Hess have flipped. I believe they flipped last week. And they're looking for a little momentum builder. And, man, I just have this weird feeling it could be this weekend.
Smitty, what are you thinking?
I like Texas A&M, especially tonight. I have them money line tonight. I think they win. You know, Alabama, like you said, 2-1 last week against Arkansas. They lost the midweek to UAB this past, I think it was Wednesday. I like this A&M team. Prager, again, lights out last week, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. I think they're going to be okay tonight. I think this team's legit. I'm not sold on Alabama, so go Texas A&M.
Ryan Prager's stat line just looks impressive. We'll see if he can do it against Alabama team that can hit. They didn't run away with it against Arkansas. So faced against good pitching, this could probably be a race to 5-6 runs is probably going to win it for you. And I think the total set at like 10.5 right now. So that feels spot on. I too joined you, Smitty. Bet Saracen had Texas A&M minus 210. I had to hop on that. That's about the best number or the lowest number that I played at. I think it's minus 230 up at DraftKings now. Our win probability has it about 218. So keep that in mind. North Carolina, NC State. This is going to be another good matchup. NC State is like a Jekyll and Hyde team. I cannot figure out for the life of me. And then same goes for North Carolina. When they hit the road, they are a totally different ball club. I hope that tonight, because I bet on them, minus 150, I hope that they can continue that momentum. Jason DeCaro's has proved to be a pretty solid starter on the Game 1 starts. Sam Heifel, though, had a really good outing last weekend. So we'll see. Smitty, I'll go to you. What are you thinking in this one?
Yeah, I still might get into this. You know, it's tough. It's staring at you. You want to play some games on a Thursday night. I like this North Carolina team. You know, NC State, I think you said it well. You just can't really get this team. It's tough to figure this team out. Lost to Campbell 11-7 the other day. Cool team coming in 3-7 last 10. You know, I think who's the better team? I think North Carolina is for sure. I have not played anything on this, but I do want to dive into this game tonight.
Q.
Heifel looked really good last weekend. Again, I'll echo your both statements. It's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. What team are you going to get? You know, North Carolina, they obviously dropped their home winning streak the other night against Coastal. Do they bounce back, or do they kind of go on a little slide? Maybe that they haven't necessarily had this year outside of the Miami series. North Carolina's far and away the better team. They should win this series. If I had a gut play, I think I would play NC State plus 1.5 tonight. I think with Heifel on the mound Thursday night, game 1, they should be pretty excited. That might be a close game, and then maybe North Carolina takes Friday and Saturday. But no official play for me, but I would lean NC State plus 1.5 at -115 tonight.
I'm going to look up Sam Heifel's last start. He had a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I can't remember who they upset. Clemson?
Yes. They shut Clemson down pretty much.
Three and a third. He only pitched 3 1/3. Give up.
I don't think he gave up a run. An earned run.
This is gonna be a tight game. I kind of like the NC State plus 1.5 too. If Heifel can recreate, what it wasn't a great start, if I remember correctly. I thought Sam Heifel was the one that won them the game last weekend. Maybe I'm thinking
night, NC State won Friday and Saturday, and I remember Clemson just not really being able to hit well all weekend. I think tonight's a tight game. I really do lean the NC State plus 1.5 at -115.
They won 11-8. They won 11-8 the first game. NC State 4-0 the second on Saturday, and they lost 7-0 on Sunday.
Yeah, they won the game, but Heifel didn't have. Yeah, it was high scoring. That thanks.
Yeah.
Noah.
Oh yeah, 6 earned. All right.
Looking at it now.
Starts when you see.
That's why I was looking at the stats and I was like, surely that's not right. I thought he had a good outing, but I think Heifel gave up 5 or 6 runs in that. I'm looking.
They start running together.
Yeah, six earned runs, only 1 strikeout. Okay, so I feel good about my North Carolina bet. That was going to be the only thing that held me back, but yeah, scratch the plus 1.5. Q's wrong on this one. North Carolina's going to win it, running away.
I haven't officially played.
Okay, Florida, Vanderbilt. This is a good one because I think Vanderbilt and Kentucky, if you had to pinpoint 2 teams that are just kind of playing a little bit better than what they probably should be. And I'm going to be careful with my words because
you better
like to clip cut stuff. And I'm not saying that they're bad teams. I just don't think, especially Vanderbilt, I'll give Kentucky a lot more credit here. I don't think Vanderbilt can sustain what they're doing. And it's not even that they're doing anything great right now. I just think you're seeing who they are. They're probably not a top 10 team. I think they're lucky to still be at number 13. They just got swept, did they not? Yeah. But Florida's kind of on life alert. Well, Florida's been on life alert. They're on their last breath right now. And we all saw Jack Caglione's 500,000-foot home run the other night. I feel like this is going to be a team that's really mad, and they're going to play that way in Nashville. My only hesitation in backing the Gators money line, because it does show that there's value there. We've got a 48% win probability translating to plus 108. You're getting them plus 135, plus 145, somewhere in that ballpark. You can get the plus 1.5 on the run line. I just feel like Florida gets it right this game. They may still lose the series, but I feel like Vanderbilt is due to drop one. And what better one to drop than game 1 when the odds are in favor of the Gators? In this case, Q, stop it. Stop it. You're talking. You can talk me into this Gators team without even saying anything.
Listen, they lost a game last Saturday. They were down 9-3. All of a sudden, they turn it on in the 8th and 9th inning. They just started mashing the ball. Then they do the exact same thing Sunday. And then they have the midweek yips or the woes, whatever you want to call it. They started mashing the ball again. I mean, Cags hit a 516-foot shot. Shellnut hit a couple home runs. You look at Luke Heyman. I think he had a couple outs, but he hit piss rods right at guys, third baseman and shortstop. Like, they're starting to finally make contact with the ball. They win 12-1. They struggled with Jacksonville earlier in the season. I think they only beat them 7-4. Vanderbilt's pitching is solid, but Bryce Cunningham gives up a 50% fly ball rate in his pitching. Well, Florida's a fly ball hitting team. So that's a problem. Like, if you're going to pitch to Florida, you need to pitch to him and get him into double plays and things like that. Not when Colby Shelton's starting to hit the ball well, Shellnut, Cags. Like, these guys are built for high fly balls, and you're pitching right to their strength. I mean, he's got the highest slugging percentage, 448, of any of the starters. And again, he's a good pitcher, but I think you said it best. I think Florida's playing mad. They're on life support. They've had 3 really good hitting games. Neely has improved in every start. I think he finally gets his first win as a starter, and the Gators win tonight. I played +1.5 to be safe, but there is, to me, a value in the +135. And I know I'm going to get shit for saying it, but Florida's better than what they've been showing. I mean, we know it. We've studied the sport. They're better than this.
Well, and you can look at the advanced analytics. I mean, Sierra Extra, they're close to what Vanderbilt is, and Vanderbilt you would qualify as having solid starting pitching. Well, as a team, Florida is just as good as Vanderbilt for a team. They're better at hitting. They're just not stringing together, getting on base, and then hitting that 3 or 4 run home run. I mean, that's going to be what make or breaks Florida in this is can they get guys on base? Can they hit a 2-3 run home run, a grand slam? Because that's going to be what you have to do to put Vandy in a coffin, because I don't think this offense for Vanderbilt can score 8 or 9 runs.
Well, and I'll one more thing, and I'll pass it to you guys. Sully changed how they approach offensively. He's having them steal bases. They're not a huge base stealing team, but they have been the last 3 games. They've done more hit and runs in 3 games than they did all season. Guys are just taking the ball the other way. They're a pull heavy team. They're a power team, and they're starting to take the ball the other way and essentially take what they've been given, and you're seeing results.
Also, Florida's won 6. Also, sorry, Smitty.
No, you're fine.
A second. Florida's won 6 of the last 8 series against Vanderbilt. For what it's worth, they kind of have Vandy's number. Smitty, take it away.
All right. So I got 2 things before I dive into this. Number one person followed me today. I think they're a Kentucky fan. So guess what? Join. Come on down, Kentucky fans, Vanderbilt fans. Start following me. I believe in Vanderbilt and Kentucky. These 2 other guys don't on this show. I do. I believe in you. Now, Q's right. This team is starting to hit the ball. I mean, I completely agree. And again, I'm the guy that said Florida's going to win the national championship in the guide. So they better start doing something, or I look like a fool. Second thing here, when he hit that home run, that long home run, I thought of 2 things with Q. He was laying on the couch and he completely fell off the couch, or he ran around and he scared his whole family. All right, here we go tonight. I'm going to go with Vandy. I like Cunningham. The split's not good on the road, great at home. I think it's a little better. I think this is one they're going to get tonight. I like good team too, 20-3 at home. They've won 15 in a row at home. I like Vandy tonight. I think they get a win tonight against Florida.
You know what that sounded like? That sounded like a teacher's like, you don't understand that problem? You have 2 here, 2 here. It's easy. It's 5. It's kind of how that went. Like, he's like, oh, national championship, but I'm taking Vandy tonight. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a used car salesman, too. Used car salesman.
Yeah.
Listen, I do think it's going to come down to the late innings, and I've got the edge to Florida. I mean, I just feel like they're going to be able to hit at will. And like I said earlier, I don't think Vanderbilt's going to have the bats to keep up with them, but time will tell. Another one that I think is going to be a very good matchup. We've got Louisiana, Lafayette, Raging Cajuns taking on Coastal Carolina. Man, I wanted to say that it's more like pitching staff versus hitters, but Coastal's done well with their pitching staff. Impressive note, Cajuns are 14-1 in the Sun Belt with a 5-game win streak. They're holding opposing batters to a 207 batting average. And with a team in Coastal Carolina who I feel like everybody between Bender and Brown and all the other ones, the killer bees, feel like Louisiana may slow them down a little bit. I'm curious to see what this number is going to be because I feel like Coastal's probably going to be a heavy favorite at home at plus 133 or higher. I'm probably back in the Raging Cajuns. Smitty, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, you threw some of the numbers that I like diving into. I like looking at the last 10 and home. They're 9-1 last 10, Louisiana. They're 9-1 on the road. So this is a good team that can go on the road. 19-4 at home for Coastal Carolina. I think this is a great series. This is one that you should be really dialed in on and watching or tracking. I think this is close. This is going to be an enjoyable one to look at. But I agree with you, Matt. I think if this one is a high number tomorrow for Coastal, I'll be jumping on Louisiana.
I think it's a 2-1 series. I think Coastal being at home gets the difference. Listen, I watched them last week, all 3 games against Georgia Southern. That was probably their worst hitting performance of the season, and they still salvaged a road series victory against Georgia Southern, who's not overly terrible. They started turning it on Sunday. They get momentum with the big win, cross state lines against North Carolina, who's obviously no slouch this year by any means. They get to come home. This is a huge series, especially for the conference. I think Louisiana is like 3 games up on them, 3 or 4 games up. So, in a perfect world, Coastal could sweep it, get the series within 1 game, and then you've got a, Sunbelt showdown towards the end of the season. Now, again, I think it's 2-1 here, but I think Coastal being at home is a difference. And then the week they just had, they're an offense that you just can't slow down for 2 straight weeks. And unfortunately, Louisiana is going to have to deal with that, knowing Georgia Southern slowed them down last week. They're going to come alive this week.
Cameron Fluke's got really good numbers, even though he doesn't have just a ton of innings pitched. I guess he started off as more of a reliever, but it's got a 63% win probability for the Saturday start. Chase Morgan versus Fluke. So I feel like the series is going to come down to game 1. Whoever gets that one, that's probably the tightest of the matchup win probabilities. I don't know. I think Coastal wins it. If Louisiana loses the first game, I'll probably turn around and back them in game 3 because I do think that they get 1. This is going to be one where I'll try to handicap the series. If I'm on Louisiana game 1 and they win, I'll probably be off of them or back Coastal the next day, depending on the price. But as we've kind of alluded to in the past, that's what I need to go back to personally as far as handicapping. I feel like I had an okay year, but going back to last year, I did a lot more series handicapping, and it proved to be more successful than what I'm doing right now. That being said,
there's been a million more sweeps this year than last year too.
Yeah, there have,
which is crazy.
This game, I feel like, starting with Jamie Arnold versus Chase Burns, I feel like Wake Forest gets game 1. This is going to be one, though, that I feel like Wake has kind of figured it out. I'm not going to be surprised if they sweep Florida State. I don't know how good Florida State actually is. I know they started off really good, and then a lot of their losses, if not all of them, have come in conference play. I think Wake figured it out at the right point. They still have time to really turn it on and compete for the ACC. I feel like Wake wins this one 2-1 or if not 3-0. So this is going to be another one I'm going to handicap on a game-by-game basis, probably with Burns on the bump. You're not going to be able to get Wake minus 111. So we'll just wait and see what the value is on it. But I like Wake in this one. What do you think, Smitty?
Yeah, Florida State, they went 3-0 last week against Miami. And, man, is Q's dad not going to like me anymore? But everybody's beating Miami. So don't dive too much into that. They lost midweek to Mercer. Yeah, Arnold's a good pitcher. I think that's a great pitching matchup. Game 1, I agree with you. And this Wake team, I think, is starting to find it. Now, I know they lost midweek too. They also lost midweek. But Hartle last week threw pretty good, 5 2/3, 8 strikeouts. I know that was against BC, but not a horrible team there. But I think this team's starting to find it. I like Wake this weekend. I think they'll do okay against Florida State.
I'm with you. I think they win 2-1. I think Wake is kind of what TCU was last year. Started shaky, got really hot towards the end of the season. I think that's the team right now, Smitty, that we talked about. there's going to be a couple teams that figure it out. I think Wake was one of those. You're just looking for the other team or two. And Florida State, have they dropped a series yet? I don't think they have. And I think it's time.
So
It's so hard to continuously win series in college baseball, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad team. You just have a bad weekend, and it's almost like a reset, and it's good for teams. I think it's healthy, and I think Wake Forest is figuring it out. I think at some point, man, Josh Hartle's going to have a solid start. He's too good. We saw him last year dominate. I just can't see him not having a single good start this year, and maybe you catch Florida State sleeping on Saturday, just a bad weekend. I think Hartle's due for a good outing here.
Hey, Q, real quick, too. I think it was was that last weekend when they went to Virginia Tech, and we both were saying that was such a big series for Virginia
it was
Tech.
weeks ago.
And Wake really went in there and took care of business. And that maybe was the weekend that they really woke up, and now they got things going here. So that was one that we both thought that Virginia Tech was going to be, that environment was going to be very tough for Wake, but I think Wake went in there and swept the series. So that was that. Yeah. I think it woke them up.
And Florida State was swept by Clemson at Clemson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they blew like 2 9-run leads.
Yeah, it was 15-5, 9-8, 14-12.
I mean, I gotta think Wake Forest, their home stadium tonight's going to be packed, or tomorrow. I mean, this is a massive, essentially top 10 series. I mean, 12-8.
Yeah.
Should be a good environment.
All right, staying in the ACC, y'all's backyard. Virginia is hosting Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech kind of fell off. Drew Burris, he kind of came on the scene and had all the stats, all the home runs. Everybody was freaking out. And now I don't know if he's just gone cold or if he's just kind of rescinded down to what
he's probably transferred.
He's already in the transfer portal.
He's already in the portal.
Okay. Virginia, Evan Blanco. We don't know pitching rotations yet for either of these two teams. Aiden Finiteri was the one that started Friday night last week. And then Evan Blanco, he's kind of the pseudo ace, I guess. We've bounced around with Colin McKay, and I feel like another person that was a game one starter, but Jaxel's not good. You look at his 11.45 ERA, 5.57 Sierra. I feel like if Georgia Tech is going to get one at the dish, it's going to be game 2. But, I mean, Cameron Jones doesn't have great numbers either. And if Drew Burris doesn't catch fire again and hit 14 home runs this weekend, I think Virginia sweeps them.
Likewise, I think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think there's much to say. They're just too good offensively. Georgia Tech's falling asleep. I think overall, even if you take Kevin Jackson out of the numbers, I think they're a way better pitching staff. They've just got more guys. It seems like UVA's kind of figured out the bullpen to an extent. So you really only what you need it for. And the way they're mashing the ball, I don't see anything but a sweep in the dish.
Smitty.
You know what I put in my notes? I got to charge my computer too. It's ready to die. Sorry. Back on it. Hey, for preparation, boys, that's what we're talking about here.
All right, we're not doing anything.
You know what I put down in my notes? I put down look for
charge
the
my
over.
Computer in my notes.
Let's charge my computer.
We have 292 people watching right
I can tell. I started to get a little darker there. I was like, oh, something's not right here.
Got a grocery list I see.
So,
all right. So
he's
doing that. Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm good. Let's go.
Multitask.
Let's go. Over. I put down because if you look last week, Georgia Tech did. They had a 1-2 against Virginia Tech, scored 19 and 11. Then Virginia, they had a big weekend with scoring runs too. Midweek, pitching gave up some runs. They lost to Old Dominion. They beat George Mason. They can score. Both pitching staff team ERAs are very high. I think this could be a very high scoring series. I'm looking for I may be the over, and I'm not a big total guy. I know we were talking off air about doing those kind of plays. I know I did one with Florida last week, but this is what I'm going to be eyeing up this weekend.
Also, because we did the show on Thursday to get you the games tonight, we don't have odds. I went ahead and converted the implied win probability with the implied probability of the odds. So check back to these. I'm going to post them after the show. You can look, and say Virginia gets hung tomorrow at minus 135. We've got minus 151. That's playable for Virginia. Little housekeeping here as we roll on. Tennessee, Kentucky. This is going to be what separates the men from the boys right here. If Kentucky wins this series, by all means, I will run to a betting window and bet on them to win the national championship. They'll be legit. Billy Amick and Tennessee and this pitching staff, though, I don't feel like they're going to let it happen. Even though it's in Lexington, I think Tennessee wins the series 2-1. I won't be surprised if they sweep them. I'm sorry, Kentucky fans. Don't throw stuff at me. We don't have pitching matchups yet. Tennessee's are confirmed. Trey Puzzer has been the Friday night guy for Kentucky. I don't feel like that's going to change anytime soon. But Q, what are we doing here?
I looked at Kentucky's 3 starters. I don't think they've changed since week 4, so it's probably pretty confident that this is your matchup. Tennessee's just so much better, and it's going to get shown on the field today. It's Kentucky. Listen, I'm not discrediting what you've done. I mean, you're 31-5. That's nothing to slouch over. And I haven't said you're a truly horrible team. I said it sucks to watch you because it's boring baseball. I like a little long ball in the game. I do like a little small ball, but you gotta drop a bomb here every now and then. And out of those 52 home runs, I think 38 of them came from the Ole Miss series, so that's just a wash. But Tennessee, there's no way Kentucky's pitching staff is going to be able to contain that offense. Tennessee's probably the best offense in the country. I mean, everybody's hitting bombs. They already got 101 home runs. They're batting almost 340, 1,100 OPS. They're just mashing the ball. And then, oh, by the way, they have, 3 studs, really more than 3. You got Stamos, Beam, Sechrist. If A.J. Russell ever comes back, and then Causey, who pitched really well in the last few outings, there's so many guys that they can go to. Even if Stamos or Beam or anybody gets in trouble, you just bring in another number 1, and it's all fine. Bullpen's held up really well. Wildcats lose the series. Tennessee may even sweep them.
Smitty, you get to go play good cop to your Kentucky fans now.
No, this is hard. This is hard because I like Tennessee, and I've been bragging up Tennessee. I love Tennessee. Where's my hat? I should have gone. I saw it, and I didn't print it out, man. What am I doing here? I like Tennessee too. I love this team. I like Kentucky, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. But let me tell you something. All these people, Kentucky fans, come on board. Come on board with me. Kentucky. Very good at home, 16-2 at home. They've won 10 in a row. Both teams 9-1 last 10. Bats are really good with Tennessee. There's something special about this Kentucky team.
Smitty.
That's all I'm going to say.
Do you get the Nashville Star, the newspaper?
No, I do not.
I do, and I read it. It's cat hunting season in Knoxville. Just remember that. Started tomorrow.
I have a question though. Smitty started talking so high on Tennessee, and then was like Kentucky. You get the old Lee Corso.
You think you're going to buy a Jeep Wrangler, and he's got you in a Subaru Outback?
I love both these teams, man. This is hard. This is so hard.
Are we Jack Daniels or Maker's Mark? What are we doing here?
He does.
I just Kentucky. Let's go. The magic. There's
He's
magic in the air.
Trace.
Listen,
I smell magic in the air. That's all I got to say.
The only thing good out of Kentucky is the bourbon. I'm sorry. And hopefully Coach Cal,
and college baseball.
Hey, let me tell you though, if Kentucky's over like plus 140 in game 1, I'm going to have to back Kentucky. Even if it's just on the run line, plus 1.5, I do think they'll play hard, especially Friday night. But that being said, I feel like we transitioned from one basketball team to another. So let's go over to Duke. They take on Virginia Tech. I've got Duke all the way. Virginia Tech, they started off again, similar to Florida State, just so good. And now they've kind of come back down to earth. We're waiting on Kentucky to do that, by the way. We were right, I guess, 2 out of the 3, but Kentucky continues to prove me wrong. Anyways, Virginia Tech hosting Duke. Jonathan Santucci going against Jeremy Neff. This almost seems like a throwaway, like they're going to throw off Santucci. 7.56 ERA for Neff, but he's been in 9 games, but only 13 and a third innings pitched. 5.70 Sierra. Is there any reason that Duke should be worried about this one, or do you think they just take care of business in game one? Q, I'll go to you because you're speculating over there.
It's a tough one. Didn't Virginia Tech win a series last weekend? I know they got spanked Saturday, but I
No,
think
they lost. Georgia Tech beat them 2-1.
All right. This is a tough spot. Duke is kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Like, they look like they could win the College World Series one week, and then they look like they're going to be, potentially regionally upset another week. Santucci's kind of had a rough couple starts the last few, just with command. Like, he's had some walks, which is uncharacteristic. I don't know much about this Jeremy Neff guy, so I don't want to say it's a throwaway. Obviously, it's a chess match because they're going to throw Renfro Saturday against the true. You got two true freshmen, Kyle Johnson and Renfro. They actually played in the same area as high schoolers, so that'd be kind of cool from a viewership perspective. But man, Tech needs this series more than Duke, and at home, I think Duke could lose the series to the Hokies. But I'm not confident enough to drop any money on it right now. I've got to see what Virginia Tech does Friday night. And then if Virginia Tech wins Friday night, I'll try to figure out, maybe I'll drive to Maryland and bet them Saturday because I think Renfro is better than Kyle Johnson. If Duke wins in kind of blowout fashion, then I think they're going to win the series.
Wake Forest swept Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Georgia Tech swept Virginia Tech last week.
No, they
No.
2-1.
They did.
2-1.
No. Yep, you're right.
I think Renfro
They did lose 19-0 in game 2.
They had traffic issues. The club team had to play in their place. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know.
What was great. I had Georgia Tech that day. What a great victory that was.
I'm going Duke 3-0. I think Duke is legit. They're going to do it. Smitty, what are you thinking?
Yeah, in the notes, I already brought it up. I mean, this is a team that, like a week ago, they had Wake coming in here, and we kept saying this was such a series that they had to get, and the place was going to go crazy, and Wake took care of business. I think the same thing's going to happen. I think Duke's going to come in, and they're going to take care of business.
All right. Last but not least, your number 2 team in the country, Arkansas Razorbacks, trying to stave off another road SEC loss. South Carolina, we talk about Jekyll and Hyde teams. This is one. It looks like they're pitching off Hagen Smith, throwing Roman Kimball in game 1 tomorrow night. Not great numbers. I feel like Arkansas should be probably 175 favorite. That's what we've got them at. I'd probably play it up to minus 200. But outside of that, I'm worried about Arkansas and their lack of production. Just their pitching is great. It's timely hitting, and they showed me a lot picking up that series sweep against Texas Tech on Tuesday, Wednesday. They did a little 2-game series, but both times they found themselves down, having to come back, one of which was when they were down 6-0, then 7-1, and still managed to finish up. And I don't know. It's to be seen. Arkansas is still trying to figure out their lineup. I think Dave Van Horn has had 47 different lineups. And you may say, Matt, they've only played 37 games, but I promise you, I feel like it. Crutch, thanks for tuning in. I think they could be well over minus 200. I agree. I mean, I feel like if they're going to be a parlay piece if they get above minus 200, I wouldn't want any part of them. But again, they were minus 200 last night against Texas Tech, or 2 nights ago. I don't know. I mean, Q, what do you see in this one? You watched South Carolina more recently than any of us. I'm sorry.
They can hit a long ball. I'll tell you that. A lot of power. They get Musina back last weekend, so that was big for them. I think Arkansas can still win the series, but I don't think they sweep. I think South Carolina will get one of them. I wouldn't also be surprised if South Carolina won. They're just a weird team, too. Like, they have the talent to win. They're just not. I think Arkansas wins 2-1.
Where is Ron Burgundy and his South Carolina Gamecocks hat, though? I need him to chime in here. What are you thinking, Ron?
It's hard. I'll say this. They're going to lose game 1. It's a lot harder to win back-to-back games against a team like Arkansas than it is to steal game 1, lose in some fashion in game 2, and then bounce back saying we can win a series. It's tie 1-1. It's really hard to go 1-0 and then end up winning or 0-1 and then win 2-1. It's really hard. So I think Arkansas 2-1.
Smitty, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that game the other night, Grissom was not happy, people, when they got down 7-0. I mean, that was like, what's going on here? That Texas
he owes me a couple $2 because I won that game.
Good battle. I mean, good fight. They're fantastic at home. They got to go on the road this weekend. Q watches South Carolina probably more baseball than I know I have. I have watched a little bit here and there. I think this one, they'll get one. I kind of agree with him. I think they'll get one. But I think this Arkansas team, again, is there. I think they're so high up. I think the pitching's there. I think the bats can be there, but sometimes they'll disappear. But that's a lot of teams. The one nice thing about Arkansas, I will say, is all these teams lose midweek. That team's 9-0 this year midweek. And that, to me, shows a good team. Because all these other teams can't beat the crap teams midweek.
It's depth. I mean, our pitching depth is unreal. And even like Will McIntyre, who's been our Friday guy that comes in after Hagan, he pitched the other night, and he didn't have his best stuff. Mason Molina, I feel like Tiger's kind of the weak link as far as the starting rotation. Mason Molina is the most like Jekyll and Hyde. And I feel like I've said that 17 times this episode, but he's either like really on or he's off, and he's a liability. But we'll see. I feel like if we get game 1, depending on the number, I'd probably lean South Carolina game 2. And then depending on who they throw, I mean, they've got several guys. I know Pitzer started a couple games. Dylan Eskew, Ty Good, Matthew Becker. I don't know. I don't know who they're going to throw out there. I feel like Brady Taggart, though, he's figured a lot of stuff out here just with his last outing. It wasn't a bad outing. Zane Adams just way outperformed him in that game 3. But it should be a tight series, which leads me right into should be Eli Jones game 2. Yeah, it is. We've got Roman Kimball game 1, Eli Jones game 2, and then I'm assuming Ty Good or Matthew Becker in game 3. But it's time to pick them. As the king, I'll start it off. I'm taking Texas A&M 2-1. So now y'all can copy my plays. Q, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I'll go A&M 2-1. You got to take them until they lose.
Hey, you had the game plan last week. You went a little crazy last week to catch the real champ here with the real crown. So I'm going to do the same thing, though. I'm going to copy 2-1 in this series.
All right, everybody is 2-1. Florida, Vanderbilt. Q, tell me about your Gators.
Florida 2-1. I think it's a big series win here. I like it.
You're a sad person.
I got to make a move, man.
Vandy 2-1.
Here's the thing. I feel like it's either going to be Florida 3-0 or Vandy 2-1.
Florida's not sweeping.
The more realistic one, I'm going Vandy 2-1. All right. Ole Miss, Georgia.
Georgia 2-1. I do like that South Carolina 2-1 right under it. It's that little foreshadow.
Smitty.
2-1 Georgia.
This is such a hot and cold. Georgia 3-0. I feel like they're going to sweep them in Athens. I didn't change that either. It says South Carolina 2-1. Nice. Good job. Fire the graphics guy. Tennessee at Kentucky. Prime time viewership. I'm going to do it. Kentucky.
Oh, get out of here. Don't do
1-2. Tennessee's going to win the series. 2-1. Tennessee 2-1.
Tennessee 2-1.
Kentucky 2-1.
Oh.
You dirty dog.
I love people in Kentucky. Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's it.
They don't love us. Auburn at Mississippi State. This would be the one that I want no part of, but we have to pick it. So, Smitty, I'm going to go to you.
Oh, man. Mississippi State. Man, I got to go crazy at one of these. Mississippi State 3-0.
Q.
Mississippi State 2-1.
I think Auburn gets one. I'm going Mississippi State 2-1 as well. And last but not least, Arkansas, South Carolina. I feel like we all know what we're doing with LSU, Mizzou, but maybe. Arkansas, I said I wasn't doing it again. I'm not going to pick a sweep because that ain't happening either way. But it actually fares better for me in the Razorbacks when I bet against them. So I'm going South Carolina 2-1.
I'll go. Arkansas 3-0.
Smitty.
Arkansas 2-1.
I already wrote it down. I knew that's what you're going to pick. LSU, Missouri.
3-0 LSU. They get their first series win, and it's by sweep.
2-1 LSU.
I like the boldness of going LSU 3-0. I feel like this is the series that they get right. They've got to start winning SEC games or they're going to miss the tournament altogether.
They miss the SEC tournament, they're not getting into the NCAA tournament.
LSU 3-0. Got to do it. All right. Best bets recap. I'm on Texas A&M minus 210 tonight. That was a half unit play. Florida plus 1.5 against my better judgment. Q talked me into that one. Laid minus 135. North Carolina with Jason DeCaro minus 150. And Florida Vandy. I played this in conjunction with Florida plus 1.5. I feel like this is going to be a race to 6 runs. 6-6. If we can get extra innings, great. But that's 12. Let's go over 11.5. I do think DraftKings ticked up to 12, which makes me feel a little bit better about my bet. But if you can still get an 11.5 out there, I like it. Despite Smitty's little plug there before we kicked off the show. Mills, what are you doing?
Florida plus 1.5 minus 135. If you're bold, sprinkle a little bit on the money line.
Bold or bald?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Smitty?
Yeah, I just think Texas A&M is going to win, and I think Vandy's going to win. So let's match them up tonight. And I got to get it. I still might check. What time's that North Carolina game?
I think 7.
7. Yeah. Man, is there any leads real quick? I'm going to throw this out to you two. So I ran, on our site, and if you haven't checked out the site, you better because it's the best site going out right now. So BYU, Oklahoma. Any leans there with either of you tonight?
Braden Davis is pitching really well, but Oklahoma seems a little high priced.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what the prediction said too. Oklahoma should be like minus 119 or something like that. I think they're minus 190. I'd probably stay away from it. Maybe go over the altitude. Are they in Provo?
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know, though. With the ace day, typically lean unders, but we'll see.
All right.
All right. If that wraps it up, we have no other series that people want to talk about. I guess when odds come out, we'll have some more plays. I'll post the best bets card again tomorrow. But until then, enjoy your Thursday evening, cash some tickets, and we'll see you Monday for the recap show.